Welcome to Alignment First, where we're on a mission to bring leaders back to their peace, presence, and power. And I've got the honor and the pleasure to meet and talk to Steph Strine, fellow Marine, Semper Fi, Naval Academy grad, athlete, soccer player, right?
Yep. Soccer player.
And now thriving in NYC, teaching all things fitness at Equinox and Soto Method. Thanks for making the time. I know you're busy. I see everything that you're doing out there. And yeah, this is awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. When I first joined the Post and plugged myself in right away, you were one of the first people that I was like, I need to talk to him. I need to get connected with him. And you know, when you're a Marine, it's the reason why I became a Marine. I was like, you got what I want. And so I think like that immediate, just like, I know what you've been through. So thank you for having me. I'm really excited to chat with you and connect.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Christian Ponder in the Post. That definitely left that out of the intro. What's interesting about that experience, and I talk about this with literally every Post member I've had on the show, what Christian has done, and you haven't been to Summit yet, right?
No, I just bought my ticket though. I'm really excited.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, awesome. So when I was at Summit in 25, I'm standing in the room, you know, because the interesting thing, and we'll dive into this, as athletes and Marines, you know, 30,000 feet, service members in general, we experience the death of identity twice: when we leave sport, and then eventually when we leave the uniform, and then we got to go figure it the fuck out, right? And in the veteran community, like when you look at the nonprofit space and all of that servant leadership that follows us into the civilian sector, as noble as that mission is, what is communicated from my perspective more often than not is that there's something that needs to be fixed before you can fully integrate into civilian society and move on to whatever your next success story is going to be, right? And I'm standing in the Post in front of, with immersed in all these athletes that are moving the needle after sport, and whether they're in the transition or beyond it, they've done it successfully, and from a positive self-image perspective, that everything they're transcending and including from athletics into the civilian world makes them superhuman. It's a superpower, right? They skipped the part of fixing what was broken. Right. And I was like, I just had this, I was like, this is what everybody's trying to do and failing miserably at because of that piece in the middle. Yes, PTSD is real. Yes, those resources need to be available. But when that's the focus, like, why would I, as a veteran, want to be surrounded by the land of broken toys, right? Where we're all in the struggle, so to speak, as opposed to what's going on in the Post, in that let's maximize the superpowers you do have and do that work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What, as I describe that experience and what attracted you to the Post, what's landing for you?
A lot. I joined the Post very late of December last year and like quickly got plugged in. My current role at my company called Whatnot, if you're not familiar, it's a live stream selling app, e-commerce. We help people turn their passion into their business through e-commerce. And so I do workplace operations. And, you know, when I first got into this role, I was very much adamant that I was like, I want to be an individual and I want to be an IC. I want to be responsible for myself. I don't want to be in charge of anyone. I've done that. I'm good. And then, you know, I do this.
It's almost like you've led Marines before.
Yeah.
I don't want any responsibility.
Zero responsibility. I'll be responsible for myself. If I mess up, then it's on me. And so, and then that kind of carried at Amazon too, when I was responsible for a lot of individuals and a lot of area managers. But anyway, now that I'm an IC, I'm like, I need to be a part of a team and I need to be around people that communicate without even thinking about it and just the way that it was when I was in the Marine Corps. There was no questions asked. We were all working towards the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
No BS. And yeah, you know, of course things happen in life, but at the end of the day, it was like no matter what was going on, the Marines that were a part of my team and my unit, like we were all going towards the same thing. And so that's what brought me to the post was like, one, I want to be around like-minded people again. I'm pretty siloed in my communities and I needed people to give me unbiased feedback on where my gaps and where I can improve because I don't have a lot of mentorship or leadership right now. I'll be frank about that.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, I think you make a really good point about taking the uniform off twice. I listened to your episode with Christian and I never really thought of that way in terms of, you know, after being an athlete and hanging up that uniform. But the way that I exited the Marine Corps, I know we're going to get into this. It was very much an ending that I didn't have too much control over. And it kind of shaped the rest of my life. But, you know, what the cool thing I get to do today is mend that relationship, and the way that I honor my service is a little bit different than I expected. But yeah, you know, there's a stigma, just the way there's a stigma against people that are in recovery, right? It's like, you know, I'm so grateful for my service. I got sober when I was in the military. And so, but actually one of the best compliments I ever get is when someone's shocked that I'm a Marine. They start to figure it out after a while. They're like, oh, you're really intense when you teach. And that makes sense. But like, yeah, I think, you know, when people are like, oh, like you were a Marine and they assume certain things about you. And, but it's because there's a lack of information and, you know, I think it's my job to just destigmatize and help people understand that like the service isn't maybe necessarily what you always think, but yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. But the death of 2 uniforms, wow, I'm bringing that to my therapist this week. She's gonna love that one.
It's wild, you know, because and I think it's compounded in the service academy experience because you have like this the structure that you find in athletics and that's also associated with military service. They're just stacked on top of each other. They're almost one and the same. And then when it's all over, like I've coached a number of ex-military individuals and athletes over the last 10 years. And what's really interesting in that initial conversation, for a lot of them, despite whatever level their challenges exist, there's this notion, this narrative that is in the back of their mind that they got to where they've excelled to the place that they're at on their own merit and completely discount the scaffolding that supported that greatness, right? The unit, the mission, the training, all of that supports your work ethic and channels it, your talent, you know, points it in a direction that allows you to shine.
Yeah.
And it's really an interesting shock to the ego when it's like, oh yeah, well, maybe I didn't get here all by myself.
Oh my gosh.
Because everybody out here is like, dude, you're fucking awesome. Steph, you're amazing. You're a hard charger. Like your agency, your self-direction, your willingness to make a 70% solution, blah, 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 blah. And you hear that enough from people that don't come from where you come from, that aren't cut from this cloth. And it's real easy to believe your own hype.
Yeah, I feel like my ego has been humbled so many times that I honestly, and I think this is, we talked about this a little bit. I come from a military family.
Yeah.
Both my parents went to West Point, my sisters in the reserves. I have a huge military family across both sides, my mom and my dad's. And my stepdad went to West Point. My stepbrother is still like, and so for me, kind of like you said, it was like, my default was structure. And I don't think I would have made it in normal college without that structure. I really don't think I would have, let alone ROTC. out of the question.
Did you come straight into Navy, or did you go to NAPS first?
I should have gone to NAPS. I would have gotten a better GPA. I think, I mean, I have my chip on my shoulder is that I come from a really great family that, gave me everything. And I really just had to do what was suggested, which was like get good grades, perform in a sport. For me, that was soccer. And I played at Navy for 3 years. And like, I think, it was, I've been handed a lot in life. And so I think like, at the Naval Academy, like I really just had to like, I didn't have to think about anything. I just really like did what I did growing up, which was like follow the rules, do as what someone tells me to do. And like when I played soccer, that's where I felt really creative. But, I think like, yeah, I just, for a lot of my peers that didn't have that, it was a big shock.
Yeah.
But for me, the Naval Academy was actually a nice break from my own childhood. So,
wow. So let me ask you this, because I was not spiritually mature enough to be at the Air Force Academy. And that's something that I came around to in my own process of self-discovery. It was very much my dad's dream. My dad's a Vietnam Mustang. My mom is Gulf War ROTC, and both of them served. My mom did 26 and retired as a colonel.
Wow.
My dad retired as a captain in a JAG. And when I was 16, my old man asked me what I wanted to do with my life. Right? Like, you're supposed to have that answer that young.
I still don't know.
Exactly. But I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew what I wanted to do at that point. I wanted to play D1. I wanted to get my degree, and I wanted to serve. Right. And then when Air Force came calling, like, duh, do that. And then I got there. And for me at that point in my life, and I'm a huge advocate for the Service Academy experience. At that point for Michael, it was very Lord of the Flies in terms of the downstream firstie leadership to 4-degree base boot camp experience. And I could not get my head out of my ass around the fact that this is not what active duty is like.
Yeah.
It was almost as if I knew too much, and I wasn't patient enough with the process. You know what I mean? So anyway, with everything that you know of the active duty experience, Army as it may be, getting to Navy, what was your experience about in terms of what you had to look forward to compared to what you knew coming in?
I had written down before I was looking at colleges, like things that I wanted. I mean, I grew up in Cornwall, New York, which is literally a 10-minute drive from West Point. So I knew I wanted to get out of that deadbeat town. I knew I wanted to play D1 soccer, and everything else, I had this intuition moment when I was at William & Mary looking there, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it in normal college. And so I kind of streamlined it to West Point and Navy. And at the time, I mean, I'll be frank, like I didn't go to the Service Academy because I wanted to serve in the military. I'm like very brutally honest about that. People have their opinions about that, but like I wanted to play soccer, and I knew that like going to the Naval Academy would be a really great experience. And I knew I could lead people. I'd been the team captain of my team for 2 years in high school on all my club teams. So like the leadership thing for me was easy. And then, it was just like, basically Navy was performing better at the time. And so for me, it came down to soccer, and Annapolis is one of the most gorgeous places on the planet.
Oh, for
Way
sure.
better than where I grew up. So it was what it was. West Point's an amazing school. All the service academies are great. I actually did I don't forget what they call it, but I remember when I was visiting there as a drag, we called it at the Naval Academy. I had to run with the plebe that I was with, and I had to zip or zing. What do they call it? Like
Oh
I
my
had
God.
to do that. And I was like, why am I doing this? I'm not even here yet.
I don't know if that's a solid recruiting tactic.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go, but anyway. Yeah, no, I think it's just cookie cutter for me. It was very much like plug and play. And so I really do. I have so much for like when I was at TBS, the basic school, and you know this, it's like a merging of OCS and Service Academy, and a lot of us butt heads. And I really had so much respect for the people that did OCS, because we were talking about this before, is like all I had to do was graduate, and then it started, right? Like for those that did ROTC, and my sister did, I think it's such a honorable thing, because you're going to school and you're choosing to do this on the weekends, right? Like in addition, I was like Monday to Friday, and then like over the summer, you know? So
yeah. The interesting thing about all of it in my journey, and I think that's what makes the Marine Corps truly fucking special. And it's we talk about it a lot, but we genuinely mean it. TBS is the equalizer of all services, because in every other armed service, Air Force, Army, Navy, as an academy grad, you graduate, you go to whatever MOS school, and then you're out in the fleet.
Yeah.
Right. And the Marine Corps consolidates all those lieutenants, and it doesn't matter where you came from, you know, whether you came out of the enlistment commissioning program, which I don't think exists anymore, OCS,
I don't think so.
or the academy. It's like, you all don't know shit. Congratulations, welcome.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting about that is you all get to move through the not knowing part together, as opposed to what I can only imagine would be a false sense of security and confidence coming straight out of any commissioning source into the fleet, where it's like, oh, and only to discover that you don't know shit.
Yeah. And you're out there like, I actually know nothing. I quite literally knew nothing for a majority of my career. I mean, obviously I learned things along the way, but like, my God, enlisted Marines, I mean, they should run this country, truly. Well, to an extent, but like some of my master sergeants, some of my gunnies, like elite of elite. Like, I mean, it's just some of the best leaders I ever met, and hand carried me, right, to like be able to do everything that I need to do. But my God, I need to send you a photo of me at TBS. You're gonna laugh really hard. That was the first time that I had consistently failed and failed and failed and failed. And
what is that like? Because I feel like people run from that experience as if it's the plague. And if they know that it exists at all. So if you've been a high performer and just been in first place your whole life, and you don't come up upon that failure, that first instance of failure, until your mid-20s.
Yeah.
Right. Now the military is a bit different, because you can't just escape it. You can't just quit that job and go do something else. So you have to move through it. But what's that like to have excelled, it sounds like, at virtually everything, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh fuck. Like,
yeah,
I have to acquire more tools, because the things that got me here aren't moving the needle anymore.
Totally.
What's it like to become conscious of that?
I think it's helpful to know in terms of my story. So I was not I shouldn't have graduated. I got a DUI my senior year, about like 4 months before I graduated. Woof. And, you know, alcohol, I'm allergic to alcohol. Alcohol and I do not mix. And so, you know, I had this whole separate life that I was living in addition to being at the Naval Academy. And then, you know, when I hung my cleats up, I had a lot more time to to partake in my addiction. And so it amplified quickly. And so I just say that because when I was going to TBS, I already had that ego death, one of my many, and had a lot. And I'm lucky to have graduated. I'm lucky to have an honorable discharge from the Marine Corps. I'll get into that a little bit later. But I got to graduate on time. I went to a very brief outpatient program, and then I was demoted, and I was basically on restriction from spring break until literally the day that I shook Barack Obama's hand. And my parents were like, please just get to the finish line, Steph. Please just get there. And I have a photo up here, one of the best handshakes I've ever had. And
that's cool.
So yeah, for me, I was sober for 6 months, and then I picked up right where I left off when I graduated, and and that continued in my Marine Corps career. But I came into the basic school, and a lot of people had opinions about me, and as they should, right? There's a lot of like I said, I should not have what I have today, and so I came into the basic school with I knew I had to kind of carry my own weight, but I also had to then carry even more weight, which as a female officer, it's just different level. And so, but yeah, I failed Dan Bell. I failed rifle. I didn't know that I am left eye dominant, but I'm right hand dominant.
Oh, me too.
So,
yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
So I'm at the range, and my sergeant's like, ma'am, you are literally hitting target 4 over. And I was like, what do you mean?
Oh, shit.
I swear to God, this is a real story. And I was like, I'm looking through it, and they're like, I think you're actually, anyway. So I failed rifle. I didn't fail pistol.
I shoot like this.
Yeah. I can't close this eye. And then the only thing that kept me in the game was my physical fitness, which is a huge part of my life. And as an athlete, getting 300s on the PFTs, which for those that don't know is just maxing out, and the CFT, my God, I think my heart would actually fall out of my chest if I did that today. It always did. It didn't matter how fit I was, but for me, that was the only thing that I was good at. I failed land nav. I failed night land nav. And so,
welcome to the club.
Oh God.
I spent many a weekend in Quantico wandering.
Oh God.
Through the woods.
All my friends were drunk on the weekends in Annapolis, and I was in Quantico every single weekend finding, those red boxes. But yeah, I failed a lot. And I think for me, being around people that have failed a lot is really important, because you build character when you fail.
Yeah.
And it really shows what kind of person you are when, I was used to winning. I was used to being the best. And I think that's the purpose of the basic school, is to get everyone together and become a basic infantryman. And
nobody comes out of that thing unscathed.
Oh God, no.
You've got folks that are, I will never forget, my best friend. So my best friend from the Marines, Steve Dixon, he married my wife's cousin, and he's the reason I met my wife. That's awesome. And I'll never forget, I habitually failed land nav. I was not fucking good at it. So then, and he's an Osprey pilot. And so he's like, his whole thing was, I don't know why I have to do this. All I want to do is fly, right? The guys, girls, right? And we got stuck in the woods on a weekend together. And I just remember him being so miserable.
I can see the face. I can see it.
I was like, bro, we're just working out, man. Let's go. PT's part of our job description. This is great. He was like, get that positivity away from me.
I'm your best friend. I'm the negative Nancy. I'm like, I'm gonna complain. There's always that one person that's the positive one, and I'm like, I need more of what you have. Yeah, right now it's funny stories, but when I was in it, I was so miserable. The hottest and the coldest I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing like that. And I love that we do that as Marines. I think it really defines us and what's important for us as a service. And at the end of the day, in my entire Marine Corps career, I never did any of that stuff ever again, but it's a part of our history and it's a part of who we are. And I'm like lucky to have done that. I spent so many weekends in Quantico. Whenever I drive past that the Dumfries exit, I always get anxious and like sick to my stomach because I would always drive and take the exit, and then I would go to Wawa and get like a huge Diet Coke and just like
Wawa. I'm from Maryland originally. I'm from Waldorf, so I was kind of pissed that Navy didn't recruit me. But it was almost like being back home for me.
Anyway, I got to send you that photo. It's a very funny photo.
I have a question though. How did you manage athletic performance, military leadership, and manage your addiction? Like, before your incident, right? Which is a lot. I've worked with a lot of high performing, vice driven clients as well. Which was odd to me because I was very much a Boy Scout before. Like, I had my shit at the academy, and still it's like the academy. And what I did was, cheating on a test was not like the end all be all. I can't tell you how many times I start my story and like, well, everybody fucking cheats on a test, So what I'm trying to say is it wasn't a DUI. And then at the same time, I get out into the world, graduate, get my undergrad, move into strength coaching and personal training. And like, I had a client come in on a Saturday morning, like reeking of booze with coke in his nostril, you know what I mean? And like, this motherfucker runs an oil company. And I was like, you can do that. Like, I thought those two things were mutually exclusive. There's no fucking way you could do that. And it's way more common than you ever would have known in turn. I grew up with the commercials, like cracking eggs into frying pans saying, this is your brain on drugs. This dude's making millions of dollars. It was crazy to me. So anyway, I say all that.
It's a great question.
The wake up call tends to be getting in trouble. And then they're like, oh my God, maybe I do have a problem. Did you know?
No. Okay. I'm very hard-headed to this day still. For me to learn something, I have to fall pretty hard down and be like brutally beaten down to be willing to address. I'd say it's better now that I'm sober. But look, I mean, I look back at photos. I'll be 8 years sober in June, on June 16th.
Congratulations.
So thank you. I look back at photos and I look completely different. At the end of my addiction, or before I got sober, my face was so swollen from how much I was drinking. I was teaching. So I got my yoga certification in 2015, and I was teaching, and but I would show up to classes hungover. I would also show up to work sometimes hungover, and I would use the fact that I was an officer to like get away with it, where Marines, my enlisted Marines, they're at formation, they're at PT, and they can't miss. And if they miss, they're talking to my gunny on why they were late, and I think I had that privilege. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit that. Is like, I was able to, I was keeping all the bubbles up, but on the inside, I hated myself. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I lived such a dual life. I was processing paperwork for Marines that were doing the same things that I was doing on the weekends. And so I would get calls, on the weekends of like, so-and-so is in jail for X, Y, and Z. And I'm pissed because I'm drinking and I'm out with my friends, but that's my job. Like, my job is I was an adjutant. So I did HR and I did legal administration. It's like, I had this just zero discipline or responsibility in anything regarding to my drinking. Everything else, fine. But I was never able and willing to look at my drinking as the problem. And so I was a great performer at work. I mean, that's the reason, quite frankly, why I have an honorable discharge out of the Marine Corps, is like, I was able to keep the bubbles up. I don't know how. I mean, I was binge drinking every single weekend at the end, and like drinking almost every single day after work. but like I was able to hold together. And I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous, and so I've heard a lot over the years of like different slogans and really corny shit that we say, but one that really sticks is Yale or jail, we get here how we get here. It's like addiction doesn't have a like, I thought it was like a homeless person drinking, you know, a bottle covered in a brown bag. It's like, that's not how addiction works. And so, yeah, I don't know. I held it together until the wheels completely fell off.
What did that look like?
So yeah, after the basic school, I lived in Japan for 2 years. I was in Okinawa, and
hell yeah, Okinawa is awesome. Where were you at?
So I was at 3rd Intelligence Battalion. I was on Camp Hansen. That's where
we were at Kadena back in the day.
Oh, yeah. So I would go cry at Kadena. Yeah. I was an ignorant and very like naive 23-year-old, and I wanted to be in San Diego where my friends were. And looking back, it was one of the coolest towns in my life. I've been to Seoul multiple times. I've been to Hong Kong, Bali, Thailand. Like I went all of mainland, and it was like, I was 23. I did all of that.
You did it. Good for you.
And that was the last time I played soccer. I got to play for the Military World Games in Myeongdong, South Korea. So that was really fun to do that. But yeah, and then when I got back to San Diego, you know, I was in striking distance to all the things. Drinking was my life. I was thinking about drinking when I wasn't drinking. I was planning my day around when I was going to go drink. And so at the end, what that looked like was I was drinking so much, and I drove straight through a DUI checkpoint in San Diego. I had one of my dogs with me, and I almost killed someone. And my life had gotten narrow, not once, but twice, for me to be willing to address my drinking. And so, you know, and I still sometimes get this, a lot of shame around, you know, the way that my service, like I'm very lucky to have what I have, but I know that I've helped a lot of people, and how openly I am about my recovery and the way that I like live my life now. So to tie this up, I went and I saw our 1-star general that I would see almost every week in a meeting. And now I'm the one standing in front of him. And I think failure and shortcomings and all of that is a huge part of my story, but it's also what's made me so resilient. Is like, I've taken all of that, and I think I've done, I would hope, a pretty good job of paying it back. Every day that I stay sober is a way that I give back to what's been so freely given to me. And so I went to rehab when I was a captain. I was the only female. I was the only officer. A lot of Lance Corporals, a lot of, you know, people that we're all required to be there, right? But like rehab, easily 50 grand these days. I went to rehab for free. I have an honorable discharge. The way that I was treated after, I mean, I couldn't have asked for a more kind and just like accepting group of leaders that, you know, they treated me fairly, but they also treated me with respect in what I was going through during that time. I mean, getting sober is not for the weak, but especially when you're in the military, especially when you're a female, and especially when you're an officer, it's a lot.
Did you have a conflicting self-image between the behavior associated with addiction and the, for lack of a better word, pedestal that you were put on as an officer? Did that compound the addiction? Like, here I am doing the thing that my Marines are getting in trouble for, and at the same time, I'm charged with leading them. So I'm going to go drink more.
Yeah, I mean,
was that a thing?
I think that definitely started to unravel when I got sober, and I had to, you know, deal with what I've done. Like, you know, my Marines processed my paperwork, and so, you know, there's a level of like accountability and owning it, taking it on the chin. Like, I fucked up, and like, this is like not who your leader should be, period. And I'm sorry. And, and there was that, but of course, yeah. I mean, like, I had a lot of shame about that. I actually just last year I went to a veterans retreat in Montana, and it was an equine therapy retreat. And I got to be around other veterans. I'm not really around veterans a lot that much anymore. And I got to work through that again. Like, I still deal with that. I still am like, why do I have what I have? Like, whereas most people would have gotten kicked out multiple times, I got handed this basically, and call it privilege, call it what you want. But like, at the end of the day, I can either lean into shame and guilt and pity, or I can just live out loud like I do. And I'm very open
just count your
about
blessings and be grateful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When you got to talk to JR Butler, he's in the post, and he's got a company called Shift Group. And, he's sober as well. He's a hockey guy. And when we did a podcast, he said, he's like, yeah, man, I'm allergic to alcohol. When I drink, I break out in handcuffs.
Oh, I know. That one's corny. That one's corny, JR.
I thought that shit was great. I'd never heard that before. It's fucking hilarious.
No, we say some, like, there's some like very like slogans, but they work. It's like, keep it simple, stupid, like one day at a time. It's just like stuff that's like, I don't know. I can overcomplicate a lot, but
Well, let's talk about the one day at a time, because when you decide to make that, whether it's making the conscious decision to get sober, or move on with your life beyond the uniform, because there are so many of my buddies, when we got out, when we transitioned, they were hanging on to the identity for so long. I'll never forget one of my best friends, and he is crushing it at life now. But I got out in 2012. So that like first 18 months that he got out, like, it was just rough. And I remember him calling me bitching about this, bitching about that. They don't respect people for my service. He had these expectations of how he would be perceived in the civilian world for all that he had done for this country. And when he wasn't met with that reality, he was so resistant that it compounded a lot of problems, And I remember, and I think everybody needs this friend. Lord knows I have a bunch, and I've been that one for others. I was like, dude, like, you need to take ownership of your situation. This, like, the shit you're going through is not everybody else's fault.
Yeah.
And I'm here to support you. I'm here to hold you up, all those things, but do not call me about this shit anymore. When you decide, he was living in Atlanta at the time. When you decide to change your situation, like, whatever comes with that, I'm so here for it. But if we're going to keep talking about the same shit, I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. Insanity's doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Yeah. So when you make that decision and the days get darker for a bit, right? What were some of the things that you had in place? Who were some of the role players that supported you through because that's the thing. It's like, it's dark enough dealing with the consequences of your addiction. What a lot of people don't realize is that it gets fucking darker at the very beginning of your sobriety.
Yeah. That first year is brutal. I think I'm very fortunate to have a very supporting family, a lot of amazing friends. And like I said, I'm so lucky to have had really amazing leaders that held me accountable, but also were like, you're going to get through this. And like, we're going to talk years down the road. And like, all this is going to be just a blip in your journey. And like, I just had to believe them, because I hated myself. I'm not going to lie about it. I was like, I'm already really hard on myself. You know that as an athlete, and especially as a Marine, like, I'm taking responsibility for everything and like overtaking responsibility. And so, I quickly got into therapy, and therapy has worked for me really well. Like I said, I've been in AA now in and out for about almost 8 years. And, that was the first time that I felt like people thought like me and drank like me. And, AA is free. 12-step programs are free. And, there's different ways that people get sober. There's also different kinds of sobriety these days. And so I think like whatever worked for me may not work for someone else. But yeah, I mean, I think like we talked about, like my reason for coming to the post was because like when I'm top performing, it's because someone's inspiring me and holding me accountable and setting the standards and the expectations, and they might even see past my own potential. And I've had that in a lot of the jobs that I've had. So when I got out, it was during the pandemic, which I couldn't find a job. So that was another humbling moment for me. It's like I'm on the same playing field as everyone else because no one's hiring. And none of that mattered. It didn't matter that I was a Marine Corps officer. It didn't matter that I went to the Naval Academy. It didn't matter that I played sports. It was like, I will take whatever job is going to give me money right now because I was on unemployment. And so I worked at Amazon as an operations manager for a year and a half. That was the hardest I've worked in my entire life. No joke. Hardest. And I tell you, I'm the same person that when I was in the warehouse, I was like, who is buying all these fucking packages? It's me. I'm that person. But I learned a lot, and my military, it was so transferable. I mean, Amazon is a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like one day at a time, what that looks like now is really like, I don't know. It's like, keeping it in today. I can get really caught up in like what happened in the past or what hasn't happened. And, it's like, actually all I really have in my own control is how I act today, how I interact with other people, how I speak, how I talk to myself. Like, and so I'm not good at it. I'm not great at it, but I'm working on it, and I have a better chance when I'm not drinking. So
yeah, good for you.
Thank
And
you.
I really appreciate the transparency and the vulnerability. They're one of my favorite clients. He's a Heine Zero guy.
There's so many options now. It's actually overwhelming. Like I was out with my dad this week and I was like, why does a mocktail cost more than a beer? Like that's not it. No. That industry is blowing up.
Find an opportunity and exploit it. Somebody in the military is behind all that shit.
Yeah, gosh. I mean,
so, tell me about your finding your way back to fitness.
Sure. Yeah. So, how I got why yoga, I guess, is probably a good follow-up question. I had a really close mentor when I was playing soccer in high school, and she was a yoga instructor. And she just kind of was like an against the grain yoga instructor. She's like one of my most favorite people. And so she kind of was that little spark plug. And when I was in Okinawa, I was so bored. Because there's a lot of restrictions on us when we were over there.
Yeah. Gate 2 Street gets you every 6 months.
Yeah. And especially as an alcoholic, I was like, what do you mean I can have 2 drinks with dinner? Anyway, so I had a lot of time. And so I decided to get my 200-hour yoga certification. And then I was teaching on base. I was teaching at a CrossFit gym. And then when I moved back to San Diego, I started teaching at Core Power Yoga. And then I got my personal trainer cert before I started working at Barry's Boot Camp in San Diego. I've taught a lot of high-end fitness boutiques, and fitness has been a huge part of I was playing competitive soccer since I was 5, but yeah, I think I'm actually still working through that, like hanging up of my, soccer cleats and soccer uniform. I tore my meniscus playing flag football, and I never played soccer the same after that. And so I think I lost a lot of that competitive edge after that. I still kind of deal with a lot of knee stuff to this day, but like, whatever, it is what it is. But teaching has always been a huge part of my life. I love group fitness. I did train clients a little bit when I first moved to New York City, but like for me, I like being around other people and feeling their energy. And so, yeah, I've been teaching now for, God, I'm dating myself, 11 years. And 25. So when I lived in Arizona, I was teaching at F45.
When were you here?
I lived in Tucson. So
Okay.
I was there from 2021 till like summer 2022.
The Dirty T.
Dirty
okay.
T.
Yeah.
I taught at a really awesome yoga studio there called Drishti Yoga. And then when I lived in Atlanta, I was working at Barry's, and then I moved to New York City almost 4 years ago in December. And my grandma had passed away. I was very close with her. And I got, those moments where you're just like, life is too short. Screw it. I'm just going to go do the thing that like I know I want to do, but I'm too afraid to do. And so I came to New York. My mom and my stepdad were running the New York City Marathon. And I had this moment of like, if you don't do this now, Steph, you're never going to do it.
Right.
And I always wanted to live in New York City, and New York City, whatever, I'm biased. Like we have the premier fitness environment and culture. And like, and so within that same week, I quit my job at Amazon. I had just renewed my lease in my apartment in Atlanta. And then I was like, I'm going to move to New York in the next month. It was very alcoholic and I should have slowed down, but I did it. And
impulsive is probably
yeah,
the right word.
impulsive is very, but they're synonymous in my opinion. And so, yeah, I moved here almost 4 years ago. I started my LLC, which I dissolved last year, but called Resil. It's a play on my initials, but also this ode to resilience, which is a huge part of my story. And so, yeah, I did fitness full time for 9 months. It was very humbling. I was living in a 300 square foot apartment with my 2 dogs, making no money. No one knew who I was. I had to build, my connections from the ground up again. And it took some time. I've been teaching now in New York for a little bit over 3 years. And I'll tell you, like, it has been beyond my wildest dreams. My fitness career has exploded over the last 2 years that I've been at Soto Method. We just opened another studio on the Upper East Side. We're opening in Dallas this fall. And so, yeah, it's like I teach everything besides cycling. I worked at Soul Cycle as the assistant studio manager at an Upper East Side location. And I've never been verbally abused more than old men on bikes.
I was a spin instructor for 10 years.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm not coordinated that way. Like this,
I look like a
this,
gorilla.
I can't do. I love road biking, but anyway, yeah. So I teach part-time, and I'm very fortunate with my job that it's flexible and I get to do both.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Man, you've been on quite a fucking journey.
I'm like a cat. I've lived many lives.
Yeah, but I think that's the way to do it. Honestly, it makes for a life worth living, and I think people underestimate how much life they can squeeze into the little bit of time that we have on this earth, and how much you can accomplish in parallel. How much you can do simultaneously that is a focused effort and random as fuck. Okay. And it sounds like you've really come around to, whether it's the universe or your bosses or whatever, but you're asking for what you want, and you're living in accordance with that.
I would like to think so. I think I could do a little bit better at it. Yeah, I think I'm in a little bit of a pity phase right now. I'm going to hold myself accountable to that.
How so?
My company has grown quite a bit over the last 2.5 years since I've been there, and I'm still the only person that does my job, and we've quadrupled in headcount, and the company's doing so well. We just had another round of Series C funding in the fall, and we're opening offices, and more people are coming to the space, and it's like I can't get out of my own way right now and just be like, what can I do to like make it so that people want to continue to show up to our amazing offices. It's actually, so you were saying like, what did you want to be when you like, who asked you that? I actually wanted to be an interior designer when I was little, and I actually kind of get to do that now. I get to, I do a lot of corporate real estate and help build out our offices across the globe. And, but yeah, I think I'm my biggest like enemy.
Mm.
I can't get out of my own way sometimes, and it's like I have such a really cool life, and I get to do a lot of the stuff that I do because I'm sober. But right now, it's like there's all these other pieces that are out of my control, and I think what the post does really well is like connect you with people that can get you out of your own way really quick and be like, Steph, what can you do today? Like, you know, like what is within the agenda of like your control, and everything else like you cannot do. It's like I can't do this perfectly. I can't manage all of these offices by myself, but I can do this. I can ask for help. I can reach out to other people that may or may not be in my network and like vent with them or whatever. And so I think, yeah, something that I'm working on right now is just to be like a little bit more in today and realize that like how I show up at work is really a reflection of, you know, how I feel about myself. And so I don't know, I think I'm just in a weird spot right now where work is beating me down, but I'm like super lucky to have my job. And so
yeah. Well, it sounds like you really enjoy it and you're looking for an opportunity to enhance either your role or your experience within the company. And if you're open to it, I'd like to make an observation.
Please.
Yeah. If you haven't already, ask for that explicitly. You know, a lot of the work that I do, there's layers to it, but self-advocacy shows up a lot in the work that I do. And what I mean by that is so many of my clients, especially in the beginning, will express the way that you just did. I'm like, that's cool. Did you tell the person that needs to hear that?
Yeah.
And this isn't the energy that I get from you, but sometimes the response is like, well, I would never think to do that. It's like, well, how else do you expect to get what you want?
Yeah. You know what? It's funny. So it took me a little bit of time to like escalate it because I was like, I can do this on my own. And I like, this is what I asked for, right? I asked to be an IC. And so there's this level of like, you're sleeping in the bed that you asked, you know, you made. And, but also I think it's right now I'm in this walk of life of patience. And I'm not good at that. It's like we're hiring a global real estate and workplace director. And it's like, can I continue to like keep this as is and know that we're getting refueled. It's coming soon, Steph. Can you keep your reserves where they're at and just trust that someone's coming soon? And so I think I'm not good at being patient. I'm really, so yeah, and also trusting and realizing that like, yeah, it's like at the end, I say this a lot and gosh, it's really funny. I take things personally and I'm a very serious person. I try to have a lot more fun, whether that's like going out to house music shows or like, I don't know, just like getting out of my own way. But like, I'm a serious person. And so it's like, we help people sell Pokemon cards, you know, it's like, it's not that serious. So, but like, it's my job and I care about it and I want to do a good job.
Right.
Because that's like who I am. I don't know at the end of the day. And I think they hired a Marine for that same.
Because Marines get it done.
Because Marines get stuff done, but they also are very type A. And I'm like, what do you mean that you can't put your trash in the trash? You know?
That's the paradox of high performance, right? You're so used to moving at light speed and being able to literally make shit happen. And the opposite side of that coin is the willingness to slow it down, because, and this was a real challenge for me coming out of active duty. You know, I used to lead for quite a while after leaving active duty from the premise that all these decisions are urgent in the life and death sense of the word, right? And life just doesn't move that fast out here.
Yeah.
You know, so through a lot of mentorship and guidance and, you know, running out of ways to fuck it up, I had to come to grips with that reality. Like, oh, got it. okay, so what does it look like to take this shit seriously, move the needle and get things done, and at the same time acknowledge the fact that most people don't live on that frequency.
Yeah. I think that
And
you hit it right on the head.
that's a very delicate dance.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's
So you're not abnormal in that regard.
thank you. I
I
needed
feel
to hear that.
I've been where you are.
Yeah, and if I've learned anything, it is that like my thoughts and like my experience is actually not unique. It's like it's actually very selfish of me to think that like, you know, my experience and what I've been through, I've learned that in AA is like I'm not alone, and my ability to like relate to someone is like imperative to my own well-being, because that's how we connect, that's how we get better. And I do think that's why I share so openly, I'm very transparent, is because that's the only way that I was like, okay, I think I have this thing, you know?
Yeah. You teach the lesson you need to learn. It's really
yeah
weird. It's really
oh my
weird.
gosh, but it's definitely it's also really hard. My mom's Puerto Rican, and I feel like there's this like Puerto Rican death stare that I get sometimes in the office, and I'm just like, I don't know why please clean up after yourself, you know?
I don't want to be an asshole right now.
I don't want to be, but it's also like, please just put your stuff in the dishwasher. Oh my goodness. But that's not how everyone was raised growing up. So
yeah. No, it's, you know, you're moving through the world with a higher sense of self-awareness than most. And it can be really challenging to know as much about yourself as one does, and not hold those perceived shortcomings that come along with that against yourself. So if there's anything to take from all of that, it's, you know, focus on all the things that make you superlative at what you do, and, you know, just continue to develop the other end of the spectrum as necessary, but don't preoccupy yourself with that shit.
Yeah.
You know,
letting go is something I also struggle with. So,
you know, in my plant medicine journey, one of the things that showed up in my last retreat with my coach was, you know, that which you resist persists. And I don't know where you're at with plant medicine as it pertains to addiction, if that's a trap door or something that opens something up in you. I can see it both ways. The more willing you are to surrender to the experience, it's not that it gets easier. What I found is that the work still gets done. You're just able to accomplish more of it faster. So, and I think that's not exclusive to disassociatives or the psychedelic experience. It's also a maxim for life.
Yeah. No, I think like plant medicine, I don't know a lot about it, but I know a lot of people that have done it, and they've had a very similar experience to you. And so I never look down on that or anything. It's like we all have our own experience, and how we get there is how we get there. But I know for me, I can't do anything normally. I drink Diet Cokes the same way that I used to drink vodka sodas. So, so I just like, I don't want to go there.
Sure.
But, you know, who's to say maybe down the road? I mean, you know, as someone that's been a yoga instructor for a long time, and it's like, can I be open to maybe this is not the way right now? I don't know. We'll see. So, totally. I definitely, God, that what you resist persists, man. That is a good one.
Oh, they don't have that one in AA?
They do not, but I think I'm going to start saying it. Yeah. And I'll see what old timer comes up to me and is like, whoa, that's great.
That's deep. Did you learn that in yoga?
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, I heard something that, like, you know, I haven't been around veterans a lot like recently, but I heard someone was saying something. Actually, it was one of a Post members, Alex, I'm blanking on his last name right now, but he said something the other day. He also said something about like a sit rep or something, that the crazy stuff that we do. And I just like was transported back to that moment when I was doing that. And I was like, I think you literally just brought me back to this space where I was like in my uniform doing that. I'm like, why am I fucking doing this? It's so stupid. But now I'm laughing about it. And it's like, I don't know. It's just weird stuff like that. Like I miss some of the stupidest things now. And anyway, I know we're kind of coming up on time, but I'm excited. So I ran New York City Marathon last year, and I raised money for Release Recovery Foundation, and they basically give money to those that don't have the access or availability to go to rehab. And because I'm insane and I got the marathon kick, I'm running Marine Corps Marathon this year.
Nice.
And so I'm running for Soldiers Against Suicide, and one of my Marines passed away in 2022 from suicide. He was one of the best Marines that I ever had, and you'd have never known ever. He was like the happiest, the most hardworking. He has an amazing family that he left behind. And so, sports and individual sports and team sports, I think like that's something for me where it's like, I get to pay it back. And I get to do this stuff today because I'm sober, and I've run half marathons, not sober, but it's been fun to like challenge myself over the last couple of years with this level of, I don't know, different athleticism. I mean, I never thought I'd do a marathon, and it's wild what your body can do when you start to like just put one foot in front of the other, how cliche that is. But I'm really looking forward to that. Hopefully I don't want to do another marathon after this, because I have no purpose elsewhere outside of like sobriety. I'm like, there's not a house music marathon that I can do. You know, it's like whatever. But,
Diplo has a marathon out here in Arizona.
Right. He has a run club. But anyway,
do it.
It's going to be cool to go back and do, when we had to give the medals to the finishers at the end. So it'll be a full circle moment for me. So I'm looking forward to that.
Cool. Steph Strine, everybody. Where can everybody find you?
I'm on Instagram at Steph Strine. If you're in New York City, I teach at Equinox. I'm mostly at Soto Method. Check us out. We have an app, 2 studios in New York City, and then 1 opening in Dallas this fall. And yeah, that's it.
Fuck yeah. Awesome. Remember, if you're on a mission to be the fittest leader possible, it comes down to integrity, courage, and ownership. And it's all laid on the foundation of alignment first. Join us in the Leaders Forum. All the links and everything to join, it's free. If you really love this conversation, that's where the blog, the podcast, and our one-to-many community leadership coaching exists. Join us in the Leaders Forum at nextlevelhq.co. We'll see you next time.